and Laura Baum.
Richmond Herbalism Guild, Herbalists Without Borders, and United Plant Savers.
Thank you so much. We have George Smith, who is here from Citizens Climate Lobby. We have, raise your hand if you're, Caleb Foster from League of Conservation Voters is here, right there. So if you want to connect with any of the specific groups, go see that person. And we also have Kate Allison from the Sierra Club here. So again, I just want to say thank you. Please sign a message for the members of Union Hill. Please go to the water flag station, make a water flag, get some food. There's a bar over at Art Space and you can walk around with your beers, the whole building. So don't let the soda stop you. And thank you to all of you for being here. If you didn't sign in when you came in, we've got a sign-in sheet for just to know who our guests were this evening, and I really appreciate it. So let's hear around also for all of the artists, and then I'm going to introduce you to one. So let's hear for the artists of Environmental Risk. And if Genesis Chapman is still here, send him this way, please. But I'd like to introduce my friend, a very talented artist, a wonderful person, and she's actually the first work of art as you come into the space on the left. She has a beautiful photograph, and she is someone who is directly impacted by the ruinous Atlantic Coast Pipeline. So first up, we're going to hear from Georgie Ann Stinnett, so let's please give her a warm welcome.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for that great introduction, Jessica. My background is actually in environmental sciences. And I grew up in Richmond. Okay, that sounds kind of like disparate, but I grew up in Richmond, so the James River and my love of the environment are intertwined intimately. And I also have family and a home in Buckingham County, just a few miles from where the pipeline is going and near the compressor station. The residents of Union Hill I consider to be my neighbors, slightly distant neighbors, but neighbors definitely. And I've seen the devastation that this pipeline has brought to everyone in that county. And the sad thing is the structures that are in place to protect our land, to protect our lives and the environment seem to be collapsing and crumbling under the weight of corporate greed. They have bought out the Board of Supervisors in Buckingham, convinced a lot of the citizens who convinced them that it's just inevitable that it's going to come through and there's nothing they can do to fight it. I've watched our legislators who promised to protect our environment cave and vote crazily on things that are going to destroy the environment if they're not done differently. Just today we watched a group reappoint David Paler, who's a big nugget of corruption in this whole system, back to the DEQ, to direct the DEQ. So I'm really appalled by the way the structures that we have in place to protect us are crumbling, but I still am optimistic that neither one of these pipelines will ever carry methane. Because we are fighting it, and it is dear to everyone who is fighting it, and we're making others aware that they need to fight for it too. It's sad that we have to fight. I see that we will win, which shouldn't be a battle. Everyone should just want to protect that, to protect the environment, but unfortunately greed gets in the way. And Dominion has taken their greed and bought their way into destroying trying to destroy our environment. So I'm sharing this photograph here because it's a spot on the James River that's near and dear to me. It's where I was married 2 years ago. And so I put it there to sort of call attention to how the river probably has a lot of meaning to so many people. And I'd like for you to think about how much the river actually means to you, from personal memories to how important it is. It's a source of drinking water. It feeds our wildlife and flora, and it combines with other rivers to dump into the Chesapeake Bay that it then moves into the ocean. So it connects us to the world, really. And it's really vital that we protect it and our air and our lives and the world. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
For all things right. Genesis Chapman.
Hi. Thanks for coming. So yeah, I live in Richmond now. I got my master's here at VCU a few years back. But I'm from Southwest Virginia, from a place called Benton Mountain, which for the past, really for the past 20 years or so of me being an artist, was one of the things I was really interested in as an artist was depicting the area that I'm from. I'm a bit of a nature boy, I grew up out in the sticks in the mountains, and most of my art was always revolved around where I'm from, the Southern Appalachians. Specifically, I spent a lot of time, specifically about the past 15 years, painting and drawing inspiration from Bottom Creek, which is the creek that started right outside of my bedroom window in my cabin. And so a lot of my work was sort of black and white, and I've showed here around Richmond of stuff inspired by Bottom Creek, large meditative ink drawings, sort of about the beauty of nature. So when the Mountain Valley Pipeline announced that they were intending on putting it across Benton Mountain, where I'm from, and specifically through Bottom Creek, crossing that over several times, it was like a nightmare. And that was 4 years ago, and the past 4 years since then has been this nightmare come to fruition. It's really one of the worst things. I mean, these are places that I know and love very much ever since I was a child. The creek itself, of course, I can go into specifics about how Bottom Creek being a Tier 3 creek and how Virginia DEQ has completely abandoned all of that just to roll over backwards to let this pipeline come and blast and destroy it and do all these different things. It's just horrible. So the black and white paintings, the meditative work turned more into fire and forest fires and a little bit more angry. And so these works right here are sort of drawing from that. It's a series of work that I've been doing, which is documenting natural gas pipeline explosions across the country. Those are all documented explosions, and they're painted on the corporate logos of the corporations that were responsible for them. Some of these, of course, have fatalities and stuff involved too, I'm afraid. But the one on the left is in Brooke County, West Virginia, in Enterprise Partners, I believe. The one on the right is, it's particularly, I wanted to put this in because that's one that happened in Appomattox, 10, 12 years ago, which was an insane inferno. And it's a very small pipeline compared to the two behemoths that are going to be going through Virginia. The bottom left one is EQT, the corporation that is basically responsible for the Mountain Valley Pipeline. That's actually a compression station explosion that happened just last year. Again, I'll sit here and badmouth EQT as much as you want me to, but
keep going.
But yeah, that was a compression station explosion. The Mountain Valley Pipeline, they've never built anything on the scale, and I can tell you specifically through my own experiences, places that I've been, where my neighbors have been, they really don't know what the hell they're doing. And one of the things is, the DEQ and most of the politicians in Virginia don't care. They just give them a free pass every time they make violations. They've given them free passes. These are places that, it's not just places that I love and have a specific connection to, but it's places where my neighbors live. It's places where it's going to ruin my neighbor's property forever. And I'm sure there's others we can talk about. One of my closest neighbors, Red Terry, who's, so when it all hit the fan last year with my neighbor Red and her daughter, people that I've known all my life being in the tree, it's kind of funny that this little out-of-the-way mountain community sort of got a lot of notoriety. And I will say this right now, that the Mountain Valley Pipeline is still putting off crossing over Benton Mountain and Poor Mountain. The two mountains are kind of butted together, because they realize it's going to be hard for them to do. So watch the news as they continue to flail away like a bunch of idiots and make more violations. Feel free to contact the politicians and DEQ for when there are more and more violations, even more than the 300 violations that the Attorney General is currently suing them for. And it's going to get worse as they try to go over the granite core that is Poor Mountain and Benton Mountain. So anyway, back to my work. So this is a series that I'm doing that's going to consist of 50 paintings, each explosion from each state. And as it goes, I've got more than enough from each state of pipeline explosions that I can draw from, and going back for at least 20 years. But they're happening constantly, and if you pay attention, that there's usually several a month that happen. So I'm not going to run out of inspiration. Anyway, there you go.
a poem that was inspired by an experience that I had earlier in the spring of 2018. It's called Holding Space. This is for Tammy Belinsky. Sometimes I think of the day when she fell to her knees weeping in the leaves at the edge of the trees as they were being cut, and I wonder what sort of witness we will have to give. Sometimes there is witness to give. Sometimes trees. Sometimes they're cut, and the people on the other side of the gigantic right-of-way were arrested and we were not. Sometimes somebody moves out of the way, and sometimes they stay. Sometimes they're removed, and sometimes they move when they're told to. Too many of us tired of being told. The whippoorwill's soliloquy, the turtles that used to live there, and the log perch that spawned as thick sediment clogged our rivers. Sometimes rivers, sometimes trees. You cannot literally hold space, no matter how much weight we assign to analogy. Making meaning out of metaphor often means that we miss where we are. Speaking in simile simply means that, yes, this is all like something else. But something and sometimes and somehow becomes slanted as if Emily Dickinson's hope were the only thing determining the plucked truth. The truth is that space is not able to be held. Even the observation of it confounds certain scientists who range from fierce to fallible to fearful in the face of what we face. Are we facing it? Sometimes I think of the day when she fell to her knees. Sometimes there's space to think through this. Mostly, it's a whole lot of feeling, and the truth gets muddled by accuracy, backed up with time-stamped, evidence-based atrocity. Sometimes I hold dirt in my hands, watching my knuckles tighten, my tendons pop. Thank you. A transparent help to keep me sane until the bitter mood had gone again. So I finished in plenty of time. I had 3 seconds left. I walked over to the edge of the stage. I was live streaming my friend Michael making his comments, and the police officer came up and tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." And I said, "Why?" I didn't do anything. I didn't go over. I didn't have, "You have a prop," he said. You have a prop. We're going to have to ask you to leave. So, this right here, a very, very dangerous prop. If you are at a DEQ hearing, don't forget, use it to your advantage. Thank you. Do another one. The gaps of Cumberland and beneath the hollow rock midway and along that last lengthy straight stretch before the interstate is left behind, my heart is a deep river rolling towards Kentucky and you. Swim through the sludge of the underworld. Hold your breath, traveler, until you can release it into clean air. Where is the clean air? Where is the clear, childish water? How do we name particulates driven by industry, corrupting each belly of each beast that roars within the current of this carrier, the veins of the mountain raised with blades until there are only the shackled wrists of drought holding our hearts hostage until it rains? Even the rain, friend. Even the slipshod delivery of what should nourish. My heart is a deep river winding through West Virginia, dammed up and stuck in Tennessee. Show mountain carved into couplets, walking down the aisle with an energy company holding a shotgun to her belly. This wedding, a sham. No head, no feet. Oh, darling mountain, says EQT, says Dominion. Oh, let me count the waves, says Duke, says AEP. Oh, till death do us part, says Massey, says Alpha. We'll commit to the middle and everything else we can exploit. Obey, obey, and carried over the threshold of change they wrought, like the carcasses they are in this rivered vision thrust into the thick of it, rivered towards your actual arms. My heart is a wailing river shrieking towards Kentucky and you. I'll rejoice in tall gardens living through Louisville, the insistence of brilliance, universities filled with resistance. Here's a statistic, here's another. Here's how we stop it, stop it, stop it! But I'm still deep in the gap, friend. A drop in the Cumberland bucket with my mouth wide open to the poisonous sky, my heart the only witness I can name. I'll plow through permissions and missions, admitting my veins leak with travel to any earth that will bury me. Take this. This is my blood. This is my blood from a river that still flows willingly. A mountain that needs no name, salve to a hungry young forest. Over the gaps of Cumberland, I carry the Blue Ridge to you. Our hearts, the source of rivers, headwaters to the region, spilling over, shifting shackles, witnessing bridges, even when all we can see are factories. We're the heart of this river, friend. A drop in the Cumberland bucket halfway home and sobbing. Carry me the rest of the way.